These are the 4 things that I want to focus on that are in a scene. Every good scene has at least these 4 things. There are a few that you are picking up on as well. But the first is a setting, right? For a lot of like films and novels and memoirs, the setting is its own character, right, in the story. So when you're making a scene, you want to think about how you can show the details of a place, right? Not everyone's been to New York City before. Maybe they need to see how tall the buildings are or feel the rush of the smell the bodega wafting. I lived in New York for a while, so I'm trying to reminisce and bring those flavors back to my palate, right? But the setting is really important for a scene. The character, we picked up on that as well. And not just their names and what they look like, right? But how they relate to each other. Okay. So with this scene, we had a couple different ways to go about it to develop their character arcs. We still have some questions about these characters, what their main motives are, how long have they been in it? Are they in a relationship, right? We don't even necessarily know what their relationship is until it's revealed that they had a kiss, right? But that was definitely not revealed in the first draft, right? So their relationship to each other, how they feel about each other, how they feel about the setting, right? And then we added some dialogue. Now I see this quite a bit with a lot of the writers that I work with, is you'll say that somebody said something, but you won't put it in quotes. So he told her to go to the door, and she opened the door, and then she found there was a stray cat, right? What are some ways we could put that in dialogue instead of saying that somebody said something? With that example with the cat at the door, and I just made that one up. Y'all are quiet. It's making me nervous.
We just need time to process the question.
That's true. This is teaching 101. Do you hear something outside? Yes. That's good. Yeah, I mean, it could be anything, right? But dialogue is a really nice way to build a scene. And sometimes it could be what the character is not saying. You can show us their face, what they're doing, their actions, which is the next one. Their actions can tell you a lot. They don't have to be a character of many words, right? The Mandalorian certainly doesn't say a whole lot. And one could argue the show changes quite a bit once they give him dialogue, right? There is such a thing as over explaining something instead of letting the setting or the character or the emotions of the scene kind of do the work. Yeah, body language, 100%. Yeah, dialogue can definitely be body language. Absolutely. Yeah. And then the last thing is action, right? When we look back at these scenes here, Tanya smiles, that's a pretty simple one. We could go more into what that smile looked like. Is she excited? Is she flustered? A smile can mean anything. But this part here, his eyes were a little wider, his mouth a little slacker. I think that's a nice way of showing him taking in the city, right? He's observing. You can tell he's never been to New York City before, and it's really overwhelming, but kind of in a good way. And then there's a description of the place here. So, I mean, there's not maybe as much action as I would like in these 2 examples, but we could shake it up, right? We could put a lot of meaning. I think someone said earlier, when he took her hand, did she immediately, squeeze his hand back, or was it like a flinch? Like we could say a whole lot with how the hand is grabbed, right? So questions on these 4: setting, character, dialogue, and action.